everyone, my name is Tina and I want to welcome you to this video today. This channel is Amber Field Mouse Jewelry and I'm really happy that you found me here. Today we are going to be doing something a little bit different than the jewelry buffet. If it's your first time here, you picked a great one because this video should be fantastic because this is the second time that I'm going to be doing the video actually. It's because I'm special, and I don't mean that in a good way. I recorded the whole video and I don't know what happened, but poof, it's gone. So we're doing a do-over here. Today's video is going to be about the new toy that I got. This is an Andonstar electronic microscope, and I think it's going to be an extremely helpful tool for me. I can't always see things very clearly through a loupe, and I think that this is going to be a great thing to have in the repertoire here. As a matter of fact, I did see that Sherry from Blessed Baubles also got one, ironic at the same time. She did a great video about putting it together. I have a little bit different process when it comes to assembling things like this. I just kind of take them out on the table and look pathetic, and Jeff puts them together for me. I am not sorry at all about that. I have absolutely no remorse for being that person. He's amazing. He's very helpful when it comes to things like that. And he actually got me this as a present, so that was very sweet too. This model has 3 lenses that come with it. And I've just chosen the smallest. It gives us the biggest aperture and we can adjust up and down as we need to. It does have an endoscope, which is awesome. You can use this if you need to get inside a piece of jewelry that you can't quite tilt underneath to see everything. Very handy there. I'll be probably using this on other things other than the jewelry channel, you know, if I need to find something that fell behind the couch. I don't know. But it's a pretty handy little thing to have on here. And I've been investigating other uses for this, just, you know, than seeing maker's marks and whatnot, to see what it can help us with and solve a few mysteries that I've been wondering about. So I want to invite you to hang out with me today and we'll look at some of these things that I've got out to check and see what we can do with this thing. So of course we can use it for maker's marks. Wonderful for that. Looking at purity marks, maker's marks, all of that brings everything into sharp relief for us so that we don't have to question what we're seeing through a loupe. If you're young and you got good eyes, you don't need this, but that would not describe me. So on the back of this sand dollar charm on this charm bracelet that we have here, we see the mark here for sterling and copyright with a little flower on there. Interesting that there are a couple of different maker's marks on the charms on this bracelet. It is a Sagen bracelet, and that is typically the maker's mark that you're going to see on this brand. So that one may have been added. See how it's wonderful to help investigate mysteries and whatnot on here. So that's one thing that we can do. Beautiful little bracelet, by the way, if you didn't see it in the other videos. It's got amethyst and all sorts of beautiful natural stones on there. Tons of silver on here. So what else can we look into? I was thinking that perhaps it would be a handy tool to keep us from breaking the law. And namely, I'm going to speak about bone and ivory and how to know the difference between the two. First of all, I'm going to put a piece of ivory under here and see if I can adjust this so that we can see these Schrager marks. Okay, let's see. I'm seeing them well here. Hopefully, let me see if this side shows them better. No, I think that was the better side to look. Sorry about the adjustment time here, folks. I'm a work in progress always. All right, right there you can clearly see the Schrager marks on here. Schrager marks were discovered by Bernhard Schrager in the 1800s, and it was an attribute to ivory that he discovered, and it is a valuable tool because it lets us know that this is indeed ivory and not bone. You can probably see the cross hatches here on these markings. That is not tool marks. This ivory is completely smooth. That is a property of the tusk, which is basically a tooth like you have in your mouth, just overgrown, has enamel and dentin and all those things in it. And interestingly enough, they can use these to determine what type of animal that the ivory was harvested from. You'll see that the Schrager marks go in a perfect circle here, all the way around without any break in them. I hope that you're able to track that with me here. So that would let us know that this is a round tusk, which elephants have round tusks. Other animals may have a different round. This is kind of oval shaped actually, or something completely different. So that is something that they do use to see what type of animal the ivory comes from. And also we can use so that we know, the item that we have is ivory and that we cannot sell it unless we happen to have, the paperwork, the documentation that shows that it was made previous to the time that it was illegal to harvest ivory. And thank goodness that's the case. I can't imagine killing a beautiful animal for just one simple piece of its body and let the rest of it go to waste. It's very sad. Ivory is also very, very smooth. I don't know if you've probably touched an antique keyboard on piano and felt the ivory there, but it's just such a smooth piece. I did get this out of a box. I'm not going to say where it came from because I don't want anybody to have any issues, but it was just in a mixed jewelry box, and this was in here. Benefit of the doubt. People probably thought it was bone and put it in there. Oop, there's a motorcycle. But in case you weren't aware, that is how you can tell if a piece is ivory, and it's just very smooth. I do have this bone ring here as well, and I want to take a look at this under the microscope to see if we can see the caniculi on here. Caniculi are little chambers in the bone. That is where a lot of the vasculature, the mini vasculature, is in bone. And well, it's really tiny, but let me see if I can bring this down a little bit so we can get closer to that bone sample to see if we can see those caniculi. You can't see it in every piece of bone. It really depends on how it's cut. But now there we go. Okay, so let me get something to point with here. So if you look up here, you see these, they almost look like little pores. It's a very small area in that reflection where you can see them clearly. Those are the end of the caniculi. So that is one characteristic of bone. Also feels very different than ivory does. It's not as smooth, although this has been, has been polished. It certainly does not feel the same as ivory. If you ever have opportunity to get your hands on some ivory just to feel it, take that opportunity to learn about it. And I would say the coloration is different, but not always. That's not always the case. So that is a little lesson in ivory and bone, and also another thing that we can use this instrument for, which I think is pretty cool. Obviously, we can use it to clean jewelry, to have a close-up inspection of a piece, to see what it's looking like. This brooch is a bit of a conundrum to me. As a matter of fact, is anybody familiar with this cartouche? I have searched it online to no avail. If you happen to know what that indicates, please, please, please share that with me, because I just really want to know what kind of brooch this is. It's gorgeous. Hope that's coming in because I can't see the screen right now to tell. But I'll show this in a, when we do a regular jewelry video. Beautiful piece. Really beautiful piece. It definitely looks older. It's got the tube hinge construction on it. So we'll look at that again later. But that's another use for this, of course, to clean, inspect, and have a good close-up look at things. A couple of things that I thought I might use it for to help me out. When I got this piece of coral, this coral necklace, if I'm being perfectly honest, I pulled it out of the box and thought it was plastic. But upon further investigation and inspection of the piece, I did come to find out that it is angel skin coral. So let's take a look underneath at the coral and see what we can see here. Let me get it into focus. There we go. You can definitely see the growth patterns on that coral, the different coloration in there, which, depending on what minerals and whatnot are in the environment that it absorbs, that definitely makes a difference in the colors of everything. We can get that part into focus. We can see the internal ring there on that. If you're not familiar with coral, it is in the animal kingdom. It is not a plant, and it is a single-celled organism. It's called a colonial organism because they do live together, and they form these structures together. What happens is an adult coral will secrete, I believe it's calcium carbonate, and then one of the larvae will swim around and land on it, and then it will start to mature, and when it gets to the age, you know, that it will secrete calcium carbonate, and yet they'll stack and stack and stack on top of each other. They are filter feeders, so they're very important for the ocean environment, and they also provide a habitat for other filter feeders and other animals to live. So very important part of our environment, and which is why coral should be protected. It's pretty impressive for a single-celled organism, isn't it? Much more impressive than my fingernails under magnification. Blech. All right, so that is that, and that was helpful to me. I got a really good close-up look at that. I also have here a stretch bracelet of coral that I had taken out of a previous box in one of our previous videos. And my concern on this was whether or not, first of all, I want to ensure that it was coral. After that, I want to make sure that it's red coral and not dyed. And let's take a look at it underneath the microscope, and let me see if I can get a good shot of the structures here. There we go. That should be a good one. If I can get it. Let me see. All right, so there you can definitely see growth patterns that are coral. Other parts of it, the salmon-looking parts, always reminds me of salmon. The little stripes in there, you know, that good, really good salmon that you get from the wild. How it's with that beautiful red. So I did look this up, and probably most of you are familiar, but one way to find out if coral is naturally red or if it's dyed is to use some acetone. And I do have 100% acetone here. So what I'm going to do, let me make sure I flipped this inside out. I believe I did. No, I did not. So we're going to flip it inside out. Whew, glad I checked. Let's give it a flip-a-flop inside out, so that if we do take off the color on here, that we're not ruining the aesthetics of the bracelet. So I'm going to take this little foam Q-tippy thing. That was technical, wasn't it? And let's just rub it on here and see if we do get any of the color off, because that is one test. If you rub it with acetone and you get red on here, this is probably a bad thing to use because this is orange in the background. Yeah, this is bad to use. We can't really see it. I'm going to grab just one of these little picks. Get rid of that so I don't ruin anything with acetone. Here we go. Oof, this acetone smells. It is strong. Do I have any on there? Yep, I do. And on my chair. Gonna have to edit that out. Oh, for God's sake. Alright, so I have some acetone on one of these picks here, and it's got cotton on the end of it. So let's rub on here and see if we can't move some of this color. I don't see it doing anything to the surface. And oh, there we go. I am getting some red. Let me see if I can get this no, that's not red, it's dirt. Okay. So, well, no color came off this, so this tells me that this may well be authentic red coral. I'm still going to check it out a little bit more to be sure, because I don't know why that concerns me. That I just want to make certain that it is red coral. Red coral is very valuable, and I don't want to say, oh, red coral, and sell it as such if it's not. But it does seem to be holding the color. It does have the growth of, you know, the growth structures of coral. So those are two positive factors in that. So that was another good thing that we could use this for. So that's fun, fun, fun. While we're looking at sea creatures, why don't we look at some pearls? Because usually, you know, pretty much we can all rub a couple of pearls together and tell if they're real or not. There have been a couple of times where I'm like, I'm not really sure. So this might help us too. Let's take a look at it under the microscope. Wow, that's beautiful. Look at that smooth nacre. And I grab a strand of faux pearls next to it. This is a very good strand of faux pearls, by the way. This is one of the nicer strands I've ever seen. So I'm going to put them side by side. And let me see if we can bring this down. Is that down all the way? It is. Okay. So you can see slightly the difference in the coating there. There's a glow that comes from the natural pearl. It just seems to be coming internally. That's not there on the faux pearl. More importantly, an easier way to check is to look at the bore holes. If we look at the natural pearl bore holes, and let me get this in focus. See how clean that is? That's actually dirty, but not in the way that I was thinking. Okay, there's a good one. See how crisp that bore hole is? Nice and clean all the way through. You can see right in that pearl. Nice clean bore hole. Let's take a look at one of these. Let me see if I can find one off the bat that's going to be a good example. Not really. Let's look here. All right, that's better. Okay, if you look at this bore hole, well, this one actually had some of the plastic coat removed. So that's not a good one. Boy, thought this was going to be a quick, easy example. All right, here we go. That's good, right here. On both of these places, you can see where that coating kind of melted. You look over at this pearl, that coating kind of melted off there. And that's because the drill heats up the plastic coat that's on there and causes a little ridge. That one's got quite the ridge going on. You can really see it there on that ridge. You see right here? Right in there, there's an actual ridge where that melted. So that is a very good way to determine whether a pearl is real or fake if all of the other methods have failed you. Usually we know. But you know, I'm just wanting to get the most use out of this thing that I possibly can. So I went to that. All right, under magnification, another important thing that people always use loupes and whatnot for are to look at diamonds and to determine if you have, you know, a real genuine diamond or you have cubic zirconia. So on these, this pair over here, these two are cubic zirconia. These are diamond, and this ring in the middle, you know, it's a funny story. I purchased a jewelry box from one of the local thrift stores. It wasn't Salvation Army or Goodwill, but you know how they had the little slots for rings? It was kind of cockeyed in there, so I was moving it around and I pulled it out, and this ring was in there. It's about a 1/4 carat diamond. The diamond is loose in the setting, so I've got a, you can see that it's kind of bent there. So that's got to get repaired. Tiny little diamond. I think that's probably like a 1/4 or a 1/3 carat. I don't really know. But anyway, I thought we could pull it out and take a look, and I'll test it so you'd know. I don't know if you can see the presidium because I don't have a view of the screen right now. But you can see that's a real diamond. And these are the earrings that I had pulled out of a box. They're diamond earrings. Okay. And then the other pair of earrings is cubic zirconia. And they're just, they're going up to high glass. I'm not going to retest them because I know it's cubic zirconia. All right, well, let's take a look. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know what I'm looking at here. I'm not one of those people who can pull out a loop and look at a diamond and go, oh yeah, that's, you know, VVS and clarity is great, the cut's great, da 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 da. What I can do right now though, and you probably can as well, look at this diamond compared to that diamond. This one is just packed full of occlusions. I mean, it looks almost white in there. So these are not really good quality diamonds. They almost look like they're crackled. This one looks pretty clear, and the color looks pretty good too. I think the gold on the band is probably bringing a little yellow in there, but it's a pretty diamond. And that is what cubic zirconia looks like when you look at it through a loop. There should be absolutely no, you know, occlusions in that one at all. Pretty interesting. We can also check for things to see if there's like scratching on any of the stones. If you're, getting crazy and getting up those very valuable pieces and whatnot, should be able to see it there. Well, can't really right now. I don't want to take that ring out of the box because that stone is loose, and Tina luck, I will drop it on the floor. So that's an interesting thing to do as well. Another thing that I was curious about, cameos. We can look at cameos as well. Here I have a beautiful genuine cameo. She's gorgeous. I've showed her in another video. And come into focus for me, dear. So I was wondering if there's any other way other than just, if it's questionable, if you're not sure. This one is definitely Ponytail Girl is in resin. But I was wondering if there's any microscopic evidence that could help us. Looking at her, I don't know if you can see or not, but there's some striations on her, and they all seem to run in the same direction, all across her form. I don't know if that's a tool mark from buffing, or if it's something that's inherent in the shell itself. But that's something for me to investigate. And I think this is another great thing about this. It gives me more questions. You know what I mean? Everything's not answered. I'm getting some questions so I can further look into things and learn more. And I'll certainly share that information with you if you're interested. She's a beautiful cameo. Look at that. Look at that eyelid. She's gorgeous even close up. Just such a pretty one. And if we look at Ponytail Girl, in comparison, she's a bit of a mess. You can see the holes in the resin where there were bubbles that weren't, completely taken out of there. Like around her nose, you can see there's a bubble there. There's a big bubble, a couple of big bubbles in her eye. The markings on her are completely different. But I would imagine that she was carved by a machine, whereas I am certain this was hand carved. This is a vintage cameo. So those are a couple little things that are giving us some more information so that we can learn more and determine better what kind of things we're actually looking at jewelry wise. I know a lot of people don't like Ponytail Girl, but nothing wrong with her. I mean, she's a pretty thing. She's not gorgeous like this one though. This carving is just unbelievably beautiful. Such a beautiful cameo. All right, and she is set in 1/20th, is it 12 or 14 karat? I can't remember. Yeah, 12 karat gold filled. Which brings me to my final thing that I wanted to look at here. Excuse me. Metal testing. Forgive me if you know what I'm talking about here, and I'm explaining to you things that you already know. I'm just kind of speak to people who are just starting out in jewelry, or perhaps just accidentally stopped by this channel. But to test for metals, for precious metal, what we can do is we can use acid solution, and with silver we can use either the silver testing or we can use the 18 karat gold testing solution. My preference is to use the 18 karat gold testing solution because to me the positive indicator is so much stronger than with the silver testing solution. Other people prefer it, the silver, but to me this is what I first saw when I first started watching people, and I'm very comfortable with this test. Now when it comes to testing with gold, the negative to find out if it's not gold is that it is eaten away. As if you put on here, if you put 14 karat gold on the testing stone, you put some of this 14 karat gold solution on it, if it is not 14 karat gold, it will get eaten away. If it stays, it's 14 karat gold. And I do have a bracelet here that I know is 14 karat gold. It's mine. I've had it for many moons. So let me do a scratch, and we'll illustrate that. Okay. All right. I know it looked like I took off the bracelet, but truly it didn't. You can't even see where I scratched it. Wow, this 14 karat gold solution smokes. It's the strangest thing. None of the others do, except for that one. So if you'll see here, and let me see if I can focus in a little bit on those gold particles, but they're kind of in different layers. So You can see some of that gold floating in the solution, but it is still whole. It hasn't been dissolved by the solution. But it is, you know, there's probably, it's running down the hill a little bit, so it's moving with it and making a little current doing that. So that's why that gold's moving. But for the most part, it's staying there steady. None of that is dissolving. So we can be assured that that's 14 karat gold. Let me wipe that off. Now my question is, what I'm wondering about is, what does it look like, and can we learn anything about what it looks like when we test gold filled or gold plated? Because that would be valuable to know. A lot of times you'll look at a piece and it looks very much like gold, and probably if it's not marked, it's more than likely filled or plated, but it would be great to know that, wouldn't it? So I'm going to use this 12 karat gold filled cameo as one of the tests. And then I have this ring here. This one is marked 14 karat HGE, which means heavy gold electroplate. So this is gold plated, this is gold filled, and I just want to see if the reactions are any different to the acid, or exactly what we can determine from that to maybe help us when we have unmarked pieces. So on the right hand side, I'm going to scratch the gold filled, and there's that mark. And then let me just go down a little bit from that, so we can kind of see them both in the same view. But this one is scratching a little bit hard. It probably has, ooh, yeah, probably has a little rhodium plating on it as well to keep that gold plating intact. And this ring has a multitude of problems, so I have no issue scratching it like this, because it's not its only sin. So I'm going to use the 10 karat solution here, because if I use the 14 on the 12, it's going to get eaten. So let's just use the 10, and it should do what I need it to do with the gold plated as well. What I'm expecting, and I haven't tried this today, this is just a test I've looked at in the past. I'm expecting to see some of that material on there get eaten away and some of it to stay. Because with both, there are other metals involved other than the gold. So when the gold, you know, when the other metals are eaten away, you should still see flecks of gold there. And we are seeing, let me see, are we seeing any of that dissolve? Yep, I am on the top specimen up here. You can see a little bit of the metal under that shine. Let me see if I can turn it so we can, oh yeah, that shine wants to stay right on there. But on both, if you look on either side of the puddles of the acid, you can see that it's a bit darker. And the results are pretty similar, aren't they? I think that on the 14 karat gold, it's staying a little bit more than it is on the gold filled. But gold filled is they kind of sandwich gold with other metals. The gold plated, they put the gold on top of other metals. So it could be, but there are so many variables in this experiment that could give us, you know, different results, such as I might not have scratched deep enough to get through to any sort of base metal, or, you know, who knows. But we are seeing with both, and I think we can conclude that when you have either gold filled or gold plated, that you will see some remaining gold and you will see some of it dissolved. So that, at very least, we know that that will be the outcome there. You know, if it's not gold of any sort, everything will get eaten away on there. All right, and the very last thing that I want to take a look at up close is that sterling silver reaction, because I was very curious, and I actually had to go and look this up because I wanted to know the chemistry behind it. You know, with the gold, as I mentioned, if it eats it away and you don't see the gold anymore, you just see that clear aqueous solution, you don't have gold. With the sterling, completely different. If you put the 18 karat gold testing solution on there, you're going to get that blue glow. Now, I know that piece that I just scratched is sterling, and I gave it a good old scratch, so we have a lot to look at. Oh, look at how beautiful that is. Look at that blue. Look at that pretty blue. How pretty it looks magnified, doesn't it? Oh, wow. I like it. Oh, and you can see it kind of filmy on the top as well. So what I did find out is the testing solution, let me grab the 18 karat. And I believe the difference in the testing solutions is just different concentrations of, you know, of nitric and muriatic acid. And can we read that? I don't know. There we go. So in the solution we have nitric acid and we have muriatic acid. Muriatic acid is pretty strong. People use it to get paint off and all sorts of, you know, oil stains and things outside. Nitric acid, probably in a higher concentration, is not great for you either. But what happens is that when we drop the testing acid on the silver, there is a chemical reaction that takes place. So basically, the silver and the nitric acid react in such a way that it creates silver nitrate, which is a solid. And that's what we're seeing here. Obviously, under the light spectrum, it shows white, so it changes that characteristic of the silver once it binds with the nitrate, and so that we can easily see it that way. You also get water, and you also get nitrogen dioxide as a byproduct from that. The nitrogen dioxide is a gas, and one of the main components when you burn fossil fuel, by the way, in pollution. So that's, you know, one of those reasons why we don't want to test in an enclosed space, so we're breathing that. I'm sure at small concentrations it's not going to be that big a deal, but, you know, always want to be safe, don't we? So anyway, I thought I would share that with you. I thought that was very interesting. Well, next time I'm with you guys, we are going to be looking at jewelry again. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, a peek into the Andonstar microscope. I think it's going to be a great tool for us. We'll be able to see things on the screen when we're doing the video, and hopefully it's going to be a big helper all the way around. So again, we should be back in a few days with the jewelry video. I want to thank you so much for stopping by, and if you've not subscribed to the channel and you enjoyed it, please do so. If you could give me a thumbs up, that's really helpful, and comments on the video definitely help YouTube know that people are enjoying it and they show it to other people, which would be great. So anyway, thanks again, and I will be back soon with jewelry, and until next time, hope everybody is well. All right, bye-bye.